Okay, guys, so today I'm going to cover one more important topic, another important topic, that is withholding tax. Now, so what is this withholding tax? First of all, I'll explain, and then what configurations we are going to do, how the tax calculation will happen, what question people are going to ask. In that scenario based question also people will ask. So everything we'll discuss one by one. So first let me explain you guys what is this withholding tax. Now, first thing is, like, we are having whatever the taxes are there. We'll talk about India. That is divided into two parts: direct and indirect tax. So direct tax, withholding tax, is nothing but a direct tax itself, and it is also called TDS. Withholding tax means TDS, tax deducted at source by the pair of income. And the very classic example is whatever income tax we are going to pay: income tax, wealth tax, property tax. So now we have nothing to do with this wealth tax or property tax and all. Income tax most likely, and apart from this there are so many other taxes are also there. Now, so it is also called retention tax. Why it is called retention tax? Because this tax, withholding tax or TDS, will be, if you talk about income tax, then it is deducted by the employer of the organization. Let's suppose if I am working in Wipro Technology, then what will happen? Wipro Technology is going to withhold certain amount, in the sense Wipro Technology is going to retain certain amount from my salary. So this is why it is called retention tax. So Wipro is going to retain certain amount and Wipro has to make payment to the government. So government says to employer that I am not going to ask this from the employee. You are liable to deduct this amount and you have to pay it to me. Okay. So now here what is happening? Since Wipro Technology, and in a different way, if you think, Wipro is nothing but a kind of customer. I am a vendor. How? Because I am giving my services. As an employee, I am serving to Wipro Technology. It means Wipro is buying my services, and in return, every month I am getting certain amount. Okay, so this is called employee vendor. Now, so in India, it is called TDS, tax deducted at source, all direct taxes. So whatever direct taxes will be there, how the system is going to calculate this direct taxes? Whenever we buy any kind of services from vendor, uh, generally we must have to levy, we must have to charge. Tata Motor is going to charge certain, while payment, Tata Motor is going to deduct certain amount, certain portion of the entire invoice amount as a TDS. Let's suppose the vendor has sent an invoice worth of, uh, let's suppose any audit fee is there, audit fee related invoice, in the sense some audit form is there, they have sent invoice worth of 1 lakh rupees. Now here government has given certain kind of rules and all, that if the service belongs to this category XYZ, whatever the categories are there, for that already what is the government has given lots of different slabs, not slabs. Generally we are having here, see, TDS rate charts, we are having different sections, and as per that the tax will be deducted. So what will happen, as per those sections we are going to apply tax on vendors. If let's suppose the vendor has sent an invoice related to audit fee, So once they send an invoice of, let's suppose, 1,000 rupees, and if the, as per government rule, as per government, whatever the government has given, the sections and all, as per the government sections, if it falls under 10% category, 12% category, 8% category, whatever the, tax percentage is there, that will be deducted, and then final payment we are going to make to the vendor. So this tax deduction, how the tax deduction will take place in SAP. Okay, tax deduction doesn't mean that we are going to count it manually by calculator or something. These all configurations are there, which we have to make certain configuration, and based on that, system is going to deduct the tax amount automatically. The moment you post invoice, immediately system is going to deduct the tax amount during invoice posting itself. Okay, now, so what should be the configurations and all, that I'll let you know. Here I have just specified certain sections like 192, that is for salaries, 194C, payment to the contractor. If like any organization is there, they're going to, they'll be having certain contractors who is going to supply, let's suppose, the contract labor. So what will happen? It means we are taking services from that contractor, and every month that contractor is going to send you certain invoice that, okay, I have delivered you 100 labor, 200 labor in this month, so total this is the charges and all. And whatever the daily wages labors are there, those payments that contractor is going to make, whatever the procedure is there, we are not going to go in that much details. Now we are having like commissions and brokerage and a rent. These all are a different kind. These all, whatever the things I have specified here, these all are eligible for this TDS deductions and all. And there are many more other sections are also there, which I have not specified. Okay. Now this payment of fee for professional services or technical services. So certain percentage has been here. Also there are lots of other conditions also will come, that I'll explain during what to say, configuration. So right now, whenever, okay, so right now I'm going to start this TDS configuration, withholding tax configuration. How we are going to configure this withholding tax, how many steps are there, how the tax will be calculated automatically, and then after, there is a very one what to say, important things I'll explain. So let me start the configuration first. So withholding tax configuration. Now here I'm going to use path, SPRO. Press enter. Click on reference IMG, and then financial accounting new. Financial accounting global setting new. And then see here in that withholding tax is there, and expand with extended withholding tax. Extended withholding tax. Okay, so now we'll do one thing, guys. So now click on basic setting. In basic setting, first of all, we are going to define withholding tax key, because as far as countries are concerned, that is already, it is given by SAP and all. So we are not going to do here anything. Define withholding tax key. Execute this one. country key. Give your country key, that is for India, IN is the country key. And then what is happening here? This is already created by me. So here, what will happen? Here we are going to give whatever the tax key. Tax key is nothing but the sections which I have specified here. Section 192, 194C, 194H, 194I, whatever sections are applicable for the organization. It's not like that they are going to use, like, let's suppose if commission or brokerage, if they're not having any vendor related to this or any transaction related to this, we are not going to specify. So anyhow, that will be suggested by client. Now I have given 194J, one I have created. If you want to create any other, you can click on new entry and you can type 194I. Okay, press enter. And whatever descriptions you want to give, 194I is for what? Rent. So you can type it here. Let's suppose whatever description you want to post, you can give and save it. Okay, now come back and then here define region for exemptions. Reason for exemptions, I'll tell you guys what will happen whenever. First of all, let me show you guys. This is not a mandatory setting. If you want to create, you can. What is the use of reason for exemptions, that I'll let you know. Like I have specified one, semi-government. Now what is the use of this reason for exemptions? I'll explain once I explain in the next session, in next class. Once I explain you guys scenario, there will be certain scenario where the vendor will be looking for certain exemptions. So at that point of time, I'll explain the use of this. Okay. So here, if you want to specify reasons for exemptions, here already people have specified lots of exemptions region. What is this? I'll explain and then you'll come to know. Then check recipient types. For recipient types, generally we are not going to define, because for this we need to create tax type. Just collapse this and click on calculation. So here we have to create tax type. This you need to understand what is this. Click on define withholding tax for invoice posting and give your country code IN. Now, so here we have to define a tax type. Code you have to decide. So let's suppose okay, I'll do one thing. Click on new entry and here tax type I'm just going to give TM. TDS for professional services. Now what will happen? Whatever. See, what is the use of this? First of all, press enter and save this. Okay. Now here, generally, why are we going to define the tax type? Okay. So tax type, generally, what will happen? Tax type is going to determine the tax percentage, whatever the tax percentage we are going to charge. Okay. Let's suppose vendor has sent you invoice of 100 rupees and 10 rupees service tax they have charged, so total 110. Now whether you want to calculate this taxes on gross amount or net amount? Anybody can anybody explain which amount is the gross amount and which amount is net amount? Okay guys, so I'll just show you. Now here we have created TM. This is our tax type. I just selected gross amount, save it, and then come back. Come back and then click on withholding tax code. Click on define withholding tax codes. Press enter. Now here what will happen? Click on new entries. So what was our tax type? We have created tax type TM. And what is your tax code? Tax code also you can create TM itself. That's not a problem. You can give whatever two digit codes you want. You can give withholding tax key. Now whatever this tax code, in the sense that 10%, 5%, 2%, whatever this tax code we are going to specify, this tax percentage, this tax, one tax code represent a tax percentage, 10%. Now let's suppose 10% or 5% or 20%, whatever this tax code is there, whether this belongs to what? This is for, this comes under 194I or 194J or whatever. Okay, under which section this deduction is going to happen? Under which section? Let's suppose we have created a tax code. Okay, tax code TM. Now this tax code saying like 10% deduction. Okay, that tax code says 10% deduction. This tax code says 10% deduction. So this 10% based on what? Under which section? 194J. Say for example, description, if you want to specify here, professional services I have written. Professional services means like, let's suppose any organization, whatever the organizations are there, of course they have to take certain services from any audit firm. They are going to take services from some legal firms also will be there. They are going to give their services and all likewise. And posting indicator, always it will be 1. Now the major thing need to understand here, percentage subject to tax, 100%. In the sense, let's suppose, what does it mean? Let's suppose, forget about this, we are having invoice amount 100. Okay, so maybe there are certain cases, okay, there are certain cases where the government says, let's suppose for certain countries, that whatever invoice amount is there, for this invoice amount, employer is going to charge tax on the 75% of invoice amount. 75% of invoice amount, 75%, let's suppose, I'll make it clear, it should be 1000. So what if government says that employer will charge whatever tax employer is going to charge, that tax he is going to charge, or she is that employer is going to charge tax on 75% of invoice amount, and remaining 25% of invoice amount is there, on that tax will be paid by vendor directly. In the sense, Tata Motor has received one invoice, so Tata Motor is going to charge, let's suppose Tata Motor has to count 10% tax. 10% tax on which amount? 75% of invoice amount. It means total amount how much? 750. 75% of invoice amount is 750. On 750, 10% we have to count, that is 75 rupees. If these kind of calculations will be there, in that case what is happening here? In this case, the percentage subject to tax will be 75%. But generally we are going to give 100%. Save it And guys, see, the thing is like there are lots of fields and so many things will come. It doesn't mean that we are going to touch each and everything. If you have any kind of doubt, if you want to know certain things, like if you are having curiosity, you can apply, you can keep your cursor on that field, and then if you press F1 button, if you press F1 button, then what will happen? System is going to give you certain details, okay, like income type, okay. What is the use of income type? Some 2-3 line explanations will be there. Sometime it will be more also, like here if you click here and reason, okay. So here see reason, and these all three fields, what is the use of that? But anyhow, I don't know what is the use of this, because see, the thing is like this is for US, Canada, Italy, Brazil, Australia, Great Britain and all. We are talking about India, okay. Now, so that's what I didn't do anything. There should be, of course, if SAP has given these fields and all, there should be certain use. But the thing is like you have to touch the fields only by which you are going to meet your requirement. We have nothing to do with other fields and all, and we are not going to do R&D also, because it is impossible to understand each and everything. And even steps are also huge. Now, so here I have created a tax percentage. Now, what is the use of withholding tax type? In tax type, I have given gross amount I have selected. Okay, so under one withholding tax type, let's suppose for this, we are having like, we have created a tax type called TM. Under that, if you create several tax code, T1, T2, T3, T4, which consist of different percentage. This is 5%, 2%, 10%, 8% tax codes. So whatever this tax code we have created, if we have created all this tax code under this TM tax type, if you have created all the tax code under TM tax type, what does it mean? It means we are we are agreed that all the tax codes, all tax percentage are going to be calculated on gross amount. Got my point? All the tax code, all the tax percentage are going to be calculated on gross amount. Why? Because gross amount we have selected here on tax type. Sorry, tax type. So under this tax type itself, I have created all this tax code. Whenever I am going to create tax code, you need to give your tax type. While creation of tax, every tax code, you need to give tax type here, and tax type. Okay, double click. So in tax type, we have given the criteria that whether the calculation will happen on gross amount, net amount, whatever it is. Now, come back. Still certain configurations are there. Click on, okay, not here. We were on calculation. Now click on company code. So here what will happen? Assign withholding tax type to the company code. Whatever tax type we have created, click on new entry. Those tax type, first of all, give your company code here, TM10. Then your tax type, that is TM itself. Apply a check mark here, and validity for this tax type is, it will be always starting till the last. Press enter and save it. Okay, come back. and then we have to activate this withholding tax. Okay guys, here I'll let you know one more thing before activation. You guys have created vendor, let's suppose xk03 to display vendor master, and I think we have created vendor. Which vendor is that? We'll have to search. Anybody is able to remind the vendor?
Say 80.
80. So this is your vendor. Now here TM10. Okay, and click on address. No deal.
Company code is TM10. There is TM04. Company code, sir.
Company code is TM04. So what I have done here, come back. Assign tax type to the company codes. So here what I have done for TM10, right? TM04, press enter and give your tax type here, and then this. Oh my god. Where is TM04 here? Okay. Now, if you click on activate withholding tax, okay, why are we activating? What is the difference? Here, if you click on activate withholding tax, we have not activated yet. What is the difference? That's what I wanted to show you guys. Here, TM04, press enter. See what is happening if I apply a check mark here on address, and if I press enter, then we are able to enter in this address field. Okay, address, whatever the address field is there, everything is visible. Now, if we apply a check mark on accounting info and press enter, exactly we are going to reach at that field, in that field or that tab, whatever you say. So likewise, we are having withholding tax field also. Press enter. Nothing is happening, guys. See here, system is saying that extended withholding tax functionality is not active. Okay, this functionality we have not activated yet. So exactly this we are going to do here. Okay, so that's what we are going to do here. Click on position and give your company code TM04. Press enter and then apply a check mark. It means we are going to activate. Save it. Press enter. Enter once again. Now what will happen? Once again we are going to check now. Let's see what is happening. I have applied a check mark. Press enter. Why it is not opening? Because vendor we have setting we have done just now, but this vendor we have opened before setting itself. So once again we have to create. Once again we are going to use this transaction code. Now what is happening? The recent changes got updated. Press enter. Now it will appear. Okay, here it is appearing. So those things we have done here. I have activated withholding tax code. Press enter. Now posting, and this, what will happen here? Define accounts for withholding tax to be paid over. Okay, so what we are going to do, execute. Taking some time. So here chart of account. What is our chart of account? TM04. Press enter, and then save this. Click on save, and here you have to give the GL account. So GL account we have not created yet. So what we are going to do? We'll create a GL account. FS00. So guys, whatever GL I am going to create, is it our liability or asset or expense or revenue? Under which account group I am supposed to keep this GL?
Expenses. Expenses.
Anybody else?
Liability,
Business.
liability.
Expenses.
Hello. It's under liability.
Anybody else?
It is an expense. Expenses, sir.
Dear, this is wrong. Taxes are not your expenses. Okay, keep in your mind, either it could be, it is the part of balance sheet. It could be the asset or it could be liability. So whatever the input tax, one side is indirect taxes and all, in that certain input tax we are going to create. So whatever inputs are there, that is your assets, and whatever outputs are there, that is your liability. I'm talking about indirect. This is a direct tax. So how come how come it can be your expenses? The thing is, like, we are going to deduct this tax on behalf of government. It means this amount we are not going to keep in your pocket. So either you can say asset or liability. If you say certain, if you say asset or liability, then somewhat we can understand that some problem is there in terms of understanding. But expenses, it's not relevant at all. If you are going to deduct, if you say it is asset, then I can explain this is not your asset, because whatever deduction is there at the end of the month, we have to deposit somewhere. It means we are liable to pay this amount. That is why it is your liability. I'm not much strong in terms of accounting, guys, because I'm just a BA graduate. I think you guys are expert. There are lots of people who will be very much strong in terms of accounting compared to me. But still, whatever my understanding is there, that I explained. So this is your liability. Whatever TDS we are going to TDS, let's suppose, let me create one GL here. So 2001, I simply copied. Under liability, we can give any like here TDS payable. Okay, TDS payable, this is your liability. It means we are deducting this tax on behalf of somebody. So whoever the person is there on whom, like, we have deducted this tax on behalf of government. So government will ask that where is my amount which you have deducted. Okay, this I am going to remove, sort key, and then here, that's it. Save this. So I have created a GL account 2001. This GL I am going to link. This GL I am going to link here, 2001, and then save it. Okay. So till here we have done the complete. Now whatever the settings are there, we have assigned a GL account also, so that what will happen once we charge certain TDS, if we are going to deduct TDS from vendor account, then what will happen? System is going to derive GL account automatically. It's not like that manually we are going to give GL. Manually we have to give expense GL itself while posting the transaction. Let's suppose we are using FB60. There what is happening? You have to give vendor account manually, you have to give expense GL manually. It could be purchase or rent or whatever it is. So generally now we are going to give any what to say, service GL, like rent is there or is audit fee is there, like that, or legal charges, whatever it is. So this GL account, vendor account, you have to give manually, but once you give this GL account and vendor account, system is going to deduct automatically the required TDS. Automatically system is going to deduct. Okay, how system is going to deduct this TDS automatically? So that I will let you know, guys, how system is going to deduct this TDS automatically. So now we have created tax type and tax code. Now whatever tax type and tax code we have created, those tax type and tax code we are going to assign to vendor master. Give your vendor master and click on withholding tax. Press enter. So what is happening? Your withholding tax country IN, here tax type. If you click here, it is going to show you withholding tax type TM and withholding tax code also TM, and then click on liable. It means now system will calculate this. Save this. So what will happen whenever we are going to post any invoice for this vendor? Whenever you post any invoice for this vendor, system is going to calculate TDS 10% automatically. System is going to calculate TDS 10% automatically. Yes, of course, you can create separate GL. You can create separate GL for different TDS. It depends upon client whether they want, how many GLs they want. If they want a separate GL, like let's suppose they are having two different kind of TDS they are going to deduct. Okay, say for example they are having two different kind of TDS. They are having, for rent they are having a, that will come under different section code, and rent is coming under a different section code, whereas this professional services is coming under different section code. So for rent they are saying that okay, we should have a GL number 4003, sorry 2003, and for professional services create a different GL 2004. For rent we are having different TDS, for professional services we are having different TDS percentage. Okay, so we have created two different tax percentage. What I'll do one thing, guys. Let's suppose we are having rent and audit fee. Okay, so rent is coming under different section code, audit fee is coming under different section code. At the time of rent, government says only 5% you have to deduct. At the time of this one, only 10% we have to deduct. Now what will happen then? In both cases, instead of now one tax type and one tax code, we have to create two different tax type and tax code. Okay, for rent and for professional services. And now whatever the tax type and tax code created, those need to be assigned here with vendor master. Now I'll tell you guys, generally in real time what happens, this vendor can be, this vendor, like let's suppose we are having this 80 and 81, two vendors are there. So this vendor, this sign private limited is there. From this vendor we have taken certain building on rent, we are paying certain amount per month. So whatever the tax type we have created for rent, those we are going to assign here. And we are having second vendor from which we are going to take the professional services and all. Under that vendor we are going to assign this professional services related tax code. Okay, and then here how are you going to link GL account? Then I'll let you know. If you click here, give your chart of account, and then you click on rules, and then withholding tax code and tax type, save it. Save this. Make it yes. And then here you have to give withholding tax code, tax type, tax code, and then what GL we have given. What was the GL here? It is 2001. So here you need to give 2001. Okay, and if you have created another tax code for rent, like let's suppose rent, we have created TR, tax code also TR, and for that if you want to give a different GL, you can give here. Since this we have not created, if you guys want to make experiment, you can make experiment, that's not a problem. So this is how we have to now save this. Press enter. Okay, and then after doing that, here we are going to specify. So now whenever you give the vendor number, from vendor system is going to identify what is the tax type and tax code, and then system is also going to identify against that tax type and tax code for that particular company code what is the GL we have assigned here. Okay, so I didn't go in that much detail because first of all, you guys, once you guys are having some configuration knowledge and all, this scenario will come into your mind. You can go for experiment. Nothing much, nothing, it's not too much difficult and all. It's simple things only. If you do little bit R&D, it's going to be very much easy. So now, so this is what the TDS configuration, withholding tax configuration is all about. And we have assigned to the vendor master till what we have to do. Now in next session I am going to teach how this TDS is getting calculated automatically, and then exemption scenario, which is very important and which people are going to ask during interviews and all, that I'll let you know. Okay, so this configuration session is over here itself.